amazing. It's amazing. Hutch isn't happy, but I started a 3-2-1 on the recording, and just like 2 weeks ago, and like 5 weeks before that when I mentioned it, Hutch has to get the last word in, and I expect that from Woody, but not from our dad. It's InGoal Radio, the podcast, presented by The Hockey Shop, source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Hutch, what would you like to talk about? Is there anything... He's wrapping a towel on it. And Woody's now picked up on it, that Hutch gets this little last word in. Isn't it great, Woody, that somebody else is getting heat?
I'm normally the one that always puts not foot in my mouth. Basically, I never take my foot out of my mouth and never stop talking at the worst times. But this is, hey, listen, it's just nice to have somebody else take the heat for a change.
Yeah, I think it's great. And Hutch blamed me today. He's like, you jumped the gun with your countdown. I'm like, the countdown starts when the countdown starts. That's what happens. And
we have a good time here on the InGoal Radio podcast.
We do. And he's going to have to listen to it like 16 times when he edits this thing together. We've got a Stanley Cup Final set, and the matchup in goal is the exact same as we had a year ago. Just like Chris Osgood and Marc-Andre Fleury, the last time two teams went toe-to-toe, Stuart Skinner is going to try and reverse the script from a season ago. And what a wild ride. He's topped what he went through last year on his way to the Stanley Cup Final, Woody.
Yeah, and you know what? Funny, because Dubnyk gets into this in our feature interview, Devan Dubnyk, because he's been doing some breakdown work with the Edmonton Oilers and Oilers Nation. So he's on breaking down video and doing some stuff post-game with them and pregame as well. And at the end of the day, Stuart Skinner lost his net because the Edmonton Oilers were playing a brand of hockey that had no chance of winning in the playoffs. It didn't look like the brand of hockey they played defensively to get to the Cup Final last year. They were giving up way too much, especially off the rush. And so he loses his job. He gets that spotlight. But in the meantime, they rediscovered their game. And I could make an argument, we've talked about it here before, that like there's something about Calvin Pickard and the way this team battles for him, and it's probably because of how much he battles for them, where they rediscovered that game. They got back to it in that series. And then Pickard gets hurt and Skinner comes in. And for the most part, there's been some blips, but for the most part, they've kept that game intact. And if they can on a nightly basis, they absolutely have a chance of winning the Stanley Cup. Now, when I talk about that game, like that is not at all to dismiss Stuart Skinner's performance. Since coming back in against Vegas, he leads the National Hockey League in goals saved above expected in the playoffs. He is on a heater. But what they've done defensively is not give up the types of chances that traditionally have plagued him statistically, and that's rush. High danger off the rush since Game 4 against Vegas, and we talked about this, Darren, after your series ended. Games 4 and 5, they gave up nothing. They have given up, going into last night's elimination game, I didn't pull the numbers up this morning from last night, but going into that game, you had a 6-game sample. They had given up 10 high danger chances off the rush in 6 games. And 6 of them came in Game 1 against Dallas. And we saw what happened with that score. So they've got a formula. The other team plays a role in this, but Vegas and Dallas were 2 elite rush teams. Florida is as well. Quick transition. But if they can continue that formula defensively and keep it in zone, where Skinner's at his best. In other words, hey, novel concept. Let's play to the strengths of our goaltender rather than giving up a bunch of chances that target his relative weaknesses. I absolutely could see this going the other way. So it's going to be a fascinating series. And Stuart Skinner, tactically, we can break down all the stuff and all the scoring chances and everything. At the end of the day, the mental strength, the focus, the spotlight that he was under, having lost the net, and to come back and play the way he did to get back to his foundation, the work that Dustin Schwartz must have put in to get him back over his knees and in control the way he's been for the most part since coming back, not chasing nearly as much as he was early in the playoffs. Like, everybody deserves a ton of credit. It's a really great story, and it's going to make a really great storyline in the Cup Final.
Is the overall defensive environment better, not just off the rush?
Overall, yes, but they're still giving up high. Like, every team gives up high danger because the other team's really good by this point too. All the high danger stuff in zone, he is handling like masterclass stuff. So it's not always pretty. Like there's times he's got to go outside of the technique. There's physical limitations that'll leave him, sprawled and splayed. But he's really doing a nice job of sort of picking his spots on those. There was a play against Dallas that I was asked to break down on video for a segment I do. It was a backdoor pass from the bottom of the right circle to Colin Blackwell. And he squared up on the guy at the bottom of the right circle who was on his forehand in a strong shooting position. And he squared up to the point where both skates were outside the lanes of his post. So if that backdoor tap in is a one-timer, I don't think he can get there. There's a middle guy too. He's got a defenseman and two threats, but he squares up. And the pass goes through, but the defenseman gets a piece of it with his stick. So Blackwell has to catch it on his backhand and pull it to his forehand before he shoots. There's no panic. Skinner doesn't dive across head first. He doesn't sprawl or splay. He rotates, he pushes, he goes right into his post, he seals, and he makes a blocker save on a tough chance. So that is understanding to me. And we've done this in pro reads all the time, guys. A goalie being like, hey, I know, and I'm sure Skinner's aware there's a backdoor opportunities there and that he's kind of sold out on the shooter a little bit positioning wise, but that's the one he can't give up. If he cheats backdoor and that guy short sides him high or shoots it under his blocker arm because he's not square on him, that's the one that gets the media talking, that gets the bench deflated, that has the coaches rolling their eyes. That's the one I can't give up. I'm going to trust my guy to take care of his job. He did just enough by getting a stick on it to force Blackwell, and I'm not going to dive across. Like, to me, it was a really, this is why we do pro reads. I shouldn't be putting thoughts in Stuart Skinner's brain or telling you how he broke it down, but that's what I saw. And to me, it shows a lot of trust in the environment around him. And then once that high danger chance materializes, he sticks with his structure. He didn't abandon it prematurely and dive. Because if he does dive across, Blackwell's got enough time to easily roof it over top of him if he's just down there with like a paddle or a pad.
Hutch, is splay a new term, or am I just noticing it in the last couple of weeks?
I don't know. I've heard it from Woody so many times.
It's how Woody does goaltending.
Maybe it's my grumpy hat, but I completely agree with everything that Woody just said in that analysis of that. And yet I think it's a great illustration of how ridiculous other people can be in an analysis of a situation. Because if that had been caught cleanly and had gone in with Skinner going across with such precision and control, the rest of the world would have said, well, you can't be a goalie school goalie. You got to find a way. And if he had dove across and it had gone in, everybody would have said, well, look at him. He's doing everything he can to battle. He had no chance. And so if you try and play with good technique and you make the save, you're praised. And if you don't, there's a problem. And I hate that so many things get broken down that way. Again, I agree completely with what you said, Woody. But it just highlights for me a whole bunch of stuff in the analysis world that drives me nuts.
We're setting up our feature interview so well because we spend a bunch of time at the beginning talking to Devan Dubnyk about this because he's doing this breakdown role, and it was really informative. Darren, the game against Vegas, the goal was 0.4 seconds left. Dubnyk does a great breakdown of it. It's good stuff. It's really. It's not just the goalie union putting on the goalie union hat and defending the goalies. It's complete analysis of everything that goes into a play like that. And it's not just about the guys wearing the big pads.
Hutch, are your socks up to your knees? Did you just come off spraying the driveway? Did you just tell somebody to get off your lawn? You are grumpy today.
Yeah, but he agreed with me. He agreed with me, Darren. So let's take it.
I'm grumpy with the rest of the world. I'm the old man.
Yeah, how about Bob? I think Bob's a Hall of Famer. Anyway.
Yes.
But 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals and the potential of back-to-backs, we're talking about next level elite. So his first Vezina was in 2013. And
wow,
he's in the Stanley Cup Final in 2025. That is a pretty extensive career and a great run.
And think about the different elements and the different stages and the different phases. Think about the durability. Think about the fact that, don't want to jinx it knocking on wood here, but there have not been a lot of injuries here as he gets into his mid-30s. And earlier in his career, there was, and we've got a great story, actually. This is a good reminder. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes, Hutch. Maybe I'll put it up on social, is sort of how he rebuilt the way he trains with a Finnish coach who also like has a martial arts background. And so the longevity to me is one of the remarkable parts. You're right. His ability to raise his game in these moments. Statistically, he's been outplayed by backups for, I think, 2 of the past 3 years, and Stolarz and even Dreger for a while. Like there were these times but he was the workhorse and he was putting in all the minutes and he stayed healthy, and his ability to sort of make these incredible momentum changing saves, like the one on Stankoven, the backdoor fully extended splits, but has the blocker up and gets it with the corner of the blocker. Like I looked at that, and that's the one thing I
watched that 5 times.
It was so good. It was so good. I watched it live. I was at a team gathering for my daughter's volleyball final weekend at Nationals. And so I couldn't tell. I'm like, there's no way he got that. It wasn't until we got back to the hotel and sort of watched the replays. I'm like, oh my God, he got that.
I thought it hit his pad. And then when I saw his block, I'm like,
and that's, but like, so he has that ability, right? Like, again, the underlying numbers on his playoff run, kind of like Skinner's, like it didn't start great, but now he's right up there with Stu in the last, as the moments get bigger. But you have to have a team in front of you that allows you to sort of play with that confidence. And when they do break down, that's where he's at his best. They don't do it often. They can dominate for long periods of time, but when they have a breakdown, he makes these spectacular saves. And to me, one of the things that you have to be very cognizant of, and I think last year's playoffs will make them cognizant of it, you better be paying attention to your pre-scout. You better, when you get those opportunities, execute and bury the way you're being told to. Edmonton didn't do it. Bob was out of this world the first 3 games of last year's playoff run. Part of it was when the Oilers got one-on-one chances, they tried to beat him along the ice. I know that frustrated the people that wrote their pre-scout, because it's like, you're not beating this guy. Maybe every once in a while you get him to open up and tuck it back in and it might rattle around and go through the legs. But you're not beating this guy along the ice. Like, so many people talk about when you look at his goal chart, there's more goals in the top corners, so shoot at the top corners. It's like, not on open looks. He's as patient as anyone. The reason all those goals are in the top corner is because you can have lateral backdoor tap-ins, and if you don't get it in the top corner, it's not going in. Hello, Logan Stankoven. Like, that had to be in the pre-scout. That backdoor chance cannot be in the bottom half of the net. Most goalies just get it above the pad. Bob, it can't be just above the pad. It's got to be in the top half, because he's always going to build coverage with his gloves, whether it's dropping a blocker as he did there or having the glove over top the other way. He is a physical specimen. The way he takes care of himself, the work he does, there's been a lot of attention on that, doing the Olympic lifting on game days and all that stuff. He's remarkable, and he's fun to watch, and it's going to be a great Stanley Cup final.
I love the fact that he won a Vezina at 24, and he might be enjoying the most impressive run for a goaltender in his 30s, with a President's Trophy at 33, and then Stanley Cup final appearances at 34, 35, and 36. That's crazy good at this stage of his career at that age.
It is do not pass go, do not collect $200, go straight to the Hockey Hall of Fame as soon as you retire. It just might be that we have to wait a while, not because he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but because he looks like he's having fun and he looks like he could play forever.
He's huge too. Like, he's a big dude out there, and I don't know how he covers or seems to cover that much space. He's 6'2", he's 180. I went back and checked that because he looks massive out there, and I don't know what makes somebody look bigger than they are, because everything's checked. No, everything's checked, and it's all within the rules. So it's just some people present themselves looking bigger, and I don't know whether that's.
There's a great story there too.
Lots of tricks.
I wrote it years ago when he was in Columbus, because they came through town in Vancouver. I'll have to dig this one up. I wrote it for InGoal, and they came through Vancouver, and I was like, went to the locker room, and I'm like, where the hell's the rest of them? Because he wasn't always this lean and skinny, Darren. Like, he was a big muscle. Like, there was a point where he changed his training and got really kind of, for lack of a better term, jacked. Like he was jacked and he was ripped through the shoulders and like he looked like a weightlifter. And it wasn't until he sort of changed. I think he lost. I remember writing this story. This is top of my head. I don't have it in front of me. Something like 18 pounds.
Yeah, he was 200.
But it was 18 pounds of muscle.
I feel like it's more, yeah.
It was all muscle. Like he lost all muscle on purpose. Like I said, changed the way he trained. I think that's part of the story. Catherine Silverman wrote it for us a couple of years ago, and we sort of bring it back to the spotlight because it really was. She did a great job. It was the definitive sort of version of this, rebuilding of Bob's training and body with the Finnish coaches. We're gonna have to put that in the spotlight again because it is remarkable.
And remember where he was drafted? Remember which round he was drafted in?
Was it a round that doesn't exist anymore by the Philadelphia Flyers?
No, it's a round that still exists. 0.
Oh, right.
Undrafted.
Wasn't drafted.
Right, that's right.
Undrafted.
Love it.
And all of this happening.
Well, and that's the thing, like, he's also a great case study in the evolution, right? Like, look at him in Philadelphia. Like, go back and look at him. We all saw this incredible explosive power. Like, he would just move with so much power, and it was under control, but sometimes it was too much. And I remember when he got to Columbus and he changed his stances.
Who did they keep in Philadelphia instead? Was it?
Did they sign Briz? Or is that?
Yeah, I think it was Briz.
It might have been Briz. Yeah. And so you go back and look at Bob's Philadelphia days, and his hands are up by his ears, up by his shoulders. His elbows are pinned back. Everything is locked in low and wide and loaded. I think Hutch might have even photographed him at one point while he was still with the Flyers at Rogers Arena.
Early, yep.
And then I walk into the Columbus Blue Jackets locker room the next year and I can see the changes in his game and I want to talk to him about it. And this Todd Sharrock, the longtime Columbus Blue Jackets public relations director, he's moved up the chain in that role. I don't think he's necessarily still the day-to-day guy there, but he was at the time. And I remember him telling me, like, yeah, absolutely, go for it, but good luck, because like there wasn't a lot of English spoken at the time. And understanding the changes he was trying to make, seeing them walking into that locker room and spending 10 to 15 minutes, and it's me and Sergei Bobrovsky on our knees in the visiting room at Rogers Arena, sort of using demonstrations to get through the language barrier on how he's changed his stance, his hand position, having them out in front of him instead of pulled back and his elbows pulled back. It's one of my favorite memories because afterwards I remember Todd being like, oh, like, whoa, okay. Like, like, good luck. You're welcome to talk to him. He's a great guy, but he's probably not going to say much to like good 10, 15 minutes of me and him basically doing goaltending on our knees, like two kids playing mini sticks, to help me understand in his words as best we could, the evolution of his game from Philadelphia to Columbus. So here he is, still evolving, still changing, and still succeeding at the highest levels. It's such a good story.
His partner's rookie year, Brian Boucher.
That's what I thought. Yep.
And then it was Brizgalov the next year, and Brizgalov played the majority of the games. Let's get into our gear segment, brought to you by the Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. They got a lot of stuff happening right now. This is a busy month now that we're in it.
Yeah, there's a ton of new gear coming in. We're going to get into another new product today, the Bauer SV Pro. What does that stand for? You saw the graphic on Logan Thompson. Everyone's like, ooh, look at that new Bauer graphic. It's actually a graphic for their second price point pad, the SV Pro. S being Supreme, V being Vapor. It's a combination of the best of two in a second price point, so can't wait to get into that with Cam. He's got that in store. We did the Flylight last week. There's a Flylight stick. Cam has a Source for Sports exclusive Flylight stick with a trigger grip, Darren, that you can buy just from the Hockey Shop. There's a Flylight chest protector, and there's even more coming. So a ton of new Bauer stuff. Next week and the week after, we're going to start to see the launch of the CCM lines, the eFlex 7, and their new lines at the top level and down below it. There's so much stuff coming in. And of course, if you want to try it, and you ever wanted to come say hi to Hutch and Woody in Vancouver, TendyFest, June 14th, come on over and try all this new gear. Take it on the ice. See what you like best before you buy. It's the ultimate goalie day, demo day. Try before you buy. Sample example, June 14th. Make sure you check out all the social media for the hockey shop. If you want to register, get some of the information about it, we'll be there. Make sure you come say hi to us. It's a great day and great savings as well at the hockey shop, because as all this new gear comes in, as always, discounts on the previous generation.
Go over to Cam and Woody over at the hockey shop with our gear segment, talking about the new Bauer line with the SV Pro.
Whoa! NHL graphics? Logan Thompson special debuted in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but the second price point, SV Pro, we have got all kinds of new options with Bauer's new second price point line in the Vapor family, the SV Pro. You've seen the graphics on Logan Thompson. I may be teasing one of the options we'll get to as I close this glove. First time ever available in the second price point. Oh, Cam, we've got a lot to get into here. Welcome back to the Hockey Shop Source for Sports. We're going to go through this entire line. It might take a while because there are a ton of new features beyond a graphic that got NHL approval and NHL support being worn by Logan Thompson.
Yes, he is currently wearing.
He is. This is SP Pro. He's not wearing the second price point pad.
No,
but he is wearing the ground.
No, as Bauer tends to do. You know, certain things get skinned as other things, and mismatch. But
it may not be in the NHL as a pad, as a product at the second price point, but this baby feels like it could play at some really high levels. This is not scaled down as much as we've seen in the past with other brands.
So continuing the trend of continuing to upgrade what we'll call the mid-level price point, and also adding,
I would say Bauer led the way on.
Yes, but adding the word pros to mid-level price point.
Don't get me started.
Set our piece.
At least they put a new name in front of it. Pro.
You know what? Here, we'll even start with. Can you tell me what SV Pro stands for?
I can't.
Supreme Vapor Pro. So now it's the commingling of both the Vapor and the Supreme line together now, which is something because we don't see a mid-level shadow pad anymore. They just have their one line. However, some kind of new features that also apply to both goalies now. Ability to obviously order this custom. This is nothing new. We saw this previously in the past.
But new custom options now.
But new custom options. So before custom, you were basically just picking your colors. You could add your name, choose your size, but no additional plus sizing. That was it. Now, no additional plus sizing. So you still are stuck in the small, medium, large.
Well, which is plus 1.5, as you informed us.
Yes. Stiff core option.
So I can, in a second price point pad, order a stiffer core.
Correct. So if you did say that M5 Pro pad when it was around, and you were preferring something a little bit on the stiffer side, the ability to get that stiffer core in the pad in this mid-level price. So,
and you can see, it is stock. It's a flexible pad.
We're still following the Vapor line in terms of flexibility. Curvex composite is still in that upper thigh, so that's still providing some of that long-term rigidity. Traditional cut and sew graphics here, so we're not getting that same rebound boost skin or anything like that. However, moving to the back of the pad, that's where now we get back to the similarities between this and say a Flylight pad, for example.
All right, let's fly at it.
Boom. Extended E-cradle. We saw this on the Flylight. Same general premise here. You still got that grip knee as well.
Stability flex. So it's
stability flex. That's a give to it. It's going to have some give to it. Return of the tabs for the control strap. So again, something that was deleted off of last year's X5 Pro.
It's back.
It's back.
And you can stick a professor strap in.
Correct. So something that I really, really do like, and it's a good adjustability feature in terms of for being able to dial in your pad. Opening it up.
I already opened mine. It's Tune Fit Plus.
Yeah, you see that. So if you saw that new slider that's available on the Flylight, or you like Tune Fit 2.0, you've got options. Remember,
it's removable.
Makes it removable, so you do have the ability to switch it out to whatever you like.
But Tune Fit Plus is not.
That's correct. Not as big of a tab here. However, that slider strap will still fit onto this tab.
You tried it?
Yes.
Wow.
It will work.
Good for you. Again, much like the Flylights, you've got the return also of stock bootstrap.
Being able to add the bootstrap.
Doesn't remember the bootstrap, but
nope.
you can you don't have to custom order the ability to add it in.
Correct.
You have... What else do you have, Cam? I'm looking.
Yes. So some of the comboing, again, of Supreme and Vapor. Supreme style toe bridge.
Right.
That's that thicker HD foam toe bridge as opposed to the flap that we'd find just on the Vapor. Again, a little bit more options in terms of for where you actually want to place your laces and or bungees. Being able to fully offset it completely if you like. The bridge itself is already stock offset, but again, if you want to center it a little bit more, you do have that option stock. That flat Vapor style boot, very flat, that we see and have seen. Very flexible too. And your bungee toe ties with that guy.
All right. What other custom options do I have here? So if I order custom on this, I can choose the core, I can stiffen it up, which will probably give you a little more durability.
Potentially. I mean, that depends on exactly what kind of style of pad you're looking for. That's more of a softer, stiff conversation than it is durability.
I can custom order color,
Yes, you can.
this graphic,
And you can get your name.
custom order, I can get my name on it.
Yes.
Those are my options.
And also choose if you would like the stock SV Pro glove, which is like a $590, or
Oh, I teased this earlier. We're into it.
SV90, a $580 in a mid-level price point.
First time ever for Bauer. They're bringing the 580, their, what do they call it? Vapor 90
Vapor 90.
into the second price point.
That's correct.
Nice.
So, good segue into
Well, I'd like to talk about the gloves, but I kind of feel like I missed the what I don't know what it is. It sort of looks like it's quilted. I feel like it's the Bounty Quicker, Thicker, Picker Upper here.
the textured slide surface.
Textured slide surface.
Well, it's not necessarily even the slide surface. That's just more, because really you got to
We
contact.
should be sliding on here,
And you're going to be landing on the cap plate and the knee
Here.
plate.
which is offset for that exact reason. This is just a little less friction, I'm guessing, a little less contact point with the ice.
So if anything, you know, depending on how you're sliding too, with having that little bit more texture there, you could add, it potentially is a little bit of a stopper too as well. Like, I don't know, let's throw out some ideas. You know what, you in the comment section, tell you what, we're going to add some overall feedback. What do you think of this? Do you think it's going to make much of a difference? Do you think it will help with your slide? Do you think it will help be a bit of a stopper? Let us know below.
Because, of course, you do have a calf pillow here. And so the weight of your calf, and they've offset this, so the pressure is on there, which is a hard surface. Pressure is on here, which is a harder surface, and that's where your sliding comes from. But we just found this interesting, and Cam didn't have a call out for it, so we're just calling it the Bounty Quicker, Thicker, Picker Upper.
There we go.
Gloves.
Well, you're already holding the SV90, so
We already talked about it.
yes,
580 break.
correct. Available stock, same matching graphics and color patterns that you would find off the wall.
So by custom order, I choose between the two. You've actually got this in stock as a stock option as well.
Correct. Yeah. Similar story. If you like your X5 Pro in terms of for your catcher, you're going to like the SV Pro stock. Same 590 style brake, same double T, same overall feel.
Single T in the Vapor 90, the SV90. You can
Yes.
see the difference in the way the pocket sort of forms there, similar to what we saw on the Flylight.
That's correct. Yeah. So basically, your major differences, you're not going to see their catch light material. You're not going to see their same pour-on material in the glove itself. That's starting to negate the couple price points in terms of difference between that and what would be the Flylight at the top price point.
Feels a little thicker too in the palm.
Yeah, that said, even though we are like reducing, you know, technical foams, I think it feels thicker than last year for sure.
Okay.
Anecdotally. Blocker. If you like your X5 Pro blocker, you're going to love the brand new SV Pro blocker. That's pretty much the exact same thing.
Okay.
Simple. Yes, updated backhand materials a little bit, more open cuff that we noticed in the actual Flylight as well. We talked about that. Great overall balance, that same tighter feel.
Yeah.
TTC foam in the fingers. So you do get a little bit of an upgrade.
Oh, a little foam on the back of the fingers. I didn't know that. Hey, look at you. You forgot the call outs earlier.
They're calling it out now. You know,
Attaboy.
that's what a job is.
But that's not all, folks.
Oh, yeah.
We have more options for you.
So, brand new. We'll start with the glove first. This is intermediate. This is SV90.
So,
Intermediate
Vapor
580 style.
again,
Yes.
never before up.
Never before offered. We now have this available. Stock off the wall. Can order custom as well in the SV.
You got little hands.
Yes. Yes. SV intermediate. Available to order custom. Can get that glove as well.
Okay, what else we got back?
Oh, one more surprise. Brand new for this year.
These might fit you, Cam.
SV Pro Junior. So if you're looking for more of an upgraded pad as opposed to, say, the Bauer GSX, if you're something a little bit different, not available custom, but what you are getting that CurveX composite in the core and that upper thigh portion of the pad. A bit of a stiffer pad, change up in the actual strapping system itself. So it's still following that intermediate and senior level pad as well. they're getting a bit of an upgrade in overall performance. No Vapor 90 option here. Keep that in mind. So you're still going to have the stock SV Pro glove in that junior sizing. However,
Maybe you can fit into an intermediate.
Yes, a nice little upgrade in terms of for juniors if they're looking for more of a performance-based pad.
All right. Okay. So there are a ton of options we just threw at you with the new SV Pro line. Supreme, Vapor, Pro, second price point with lots of Pro features. If they have any questions about the changes in the line or anything like that, where do they get you, Kev?
604-589-8299 or 1-800-567-7790 or check us out at thehockeyshop.com.
Different colors, different sizes, everything in stock. The ability to, like we said, he's going to have the SV90 glove in stock on the rack. You can mix and match. Just give him and his crew a shout here at the Hockey Shop if you got any more questions or to order.
Different name, SV Pro. I like the combination of the S and V, and looking forward to more happening at Tandy Fest. It gives me goosebumps knowing that that's just around the corner. Let's get into our Stop It Goaltending U, the app parent segment. Hutch, now I give you the floor.
Not quite.
I knew that you do the read, but I was trying to set him up to do something, and once again, when I want him to talk, he doesn't talk. When he talks and I need him to be quiet, he's chatting up a storm.
Well, before we get to the parent segment, which has quickly become one of our most popular segments here on the InGoal radio podcast, thanks to the great work of David Hutchison, let me talk to you about the people that bring it to you. Another great goalie parent, Brian DeCord of Stop It Goaltending. More than 25 years of experience. He has goalie coach, Boston Bruins, goalie scout, Toronto Maple Leafs, director of goaltending with the Arizona Coyotes. He's done it all, currently coaching at Boston University. So what do you get when you buy into the Stop It Goaltending U, the app? You get all of that experience rolled into easily digestible clips that are delivered to your phone or mobile device on a daily basis. Each week, you get 5 new primers. This week, the primers, so quick 1-minute videos, are on mental toughness. There'll be a breakdown. Crease management this week is the Goalie 101 session. A, B, C, and D. What do those stand for? Aggressive, base, conservative, and defensive. Those are 4 different positioning elements that you can choose, and they break it all down in terms of how to manage your depth in the crease. They've got a video. Jake Ottinger, Stuart Skinner, Goalie IQ, looking how they play different situations differently. It's kind of like their version of pro reads with them and their coaches that stop at analyzing it instead of the goalies themselves. And last but certainly not least, they've really stepped up their game by adding weekly drills to the app. This week, it's a hard rim to pass out. So a simple drill that you can take into your practices this summer to get better. All of that at the Stop It Goaltending U, the app this week. Plus, I'm a little biased here, but maybe the best part. You get a subscription to InGoal magazine when you buy a subscription to Stop It Goaltending U, the app. You get all our great content with our weekly pro reads, drills, articles. We've got one up this week on Calvin Pickard. 5 things that will help you play better when you're not playing much. Great advice from Pickard. All part of our content and all included when you get a subscription to Stop It Goaltending U, the app.
Hutch, how are you going to help out mom and dads this week?
Well, I might have been grumpy earlier, Darren, but I'm not grumpy when I'm doing the parent segment, especially today, because it's actually a question from a young goaltender. And there's nothing more that I enjoy than teaching and coaching and hanging out with young people who want to learn. And so we got this question from a young goaltender, young listener, young reader. Is it okay to take time off in the summer? And it might be a parent segment, but answering a young goaltender's question, I think, is great for parents as well. I actually sensed in this question, reading between the lines, that there might have been a little conflict between mom, dad, and son over this question. I don't actually even know what direction. Maybe he wanted to play more and mom and dad didn't want him to, or maybe the other way around, but I felt like there was a discord between son and parents. And the question was, is it okay to take time off in the summer? And I think we've touched on this before. Maybe we haven't answered it exactly, guys, but again, since it's from a young listener, I thought I would answer it directly. Yes. We could probably end it right there. I was tempted to end it right there because Darren doesn't want me talking too much. But of course,
no.
I'll
I
go on
like
a
it
little
when you
bit
talk.
further.
It's just when I'm
Darren,
like,
just stop interrupting, please.
okay, sorry.
3, 2, 1's already happened.
I apologize.
Yes, it is okay to take time off. In fact, it is essential. No matter how much you love hockey, you need a break. No matter how much you feel you might fall behind others, you won't. You need a break. It's a mental break because even if you love every minute of hockey, you need that time to reset, to refresh, and to get even more excited about getting back on the ice. And if you're tired and need a break, that's okay too. The longer you play in the game of hockey, the longer the seasons get, the higher the pressure gets, and you need to find a way and a time to release that pressure. By the way, guys, it's completely normal to feel a little bit burnt out or stale, wondering if you even want to keep playing at this time of year. Don't worry, it's okay. Goaltenders, if you're feeling stale, it's okay. Mom and dad, if your kid doesn't seem excited about going on the ice, it's okay. If little Johnny doesn't want to sign up for that summer skate, that's okay. Our goal is raising happy, confident kids. So let them skip out on that stuff and do something else. Maybe even something that isn't competitive and is just fun. It's a mental break. It's also a physical break. The game is hard on your body. And while you're young and growing, it's hard in one way. And when you're older and you've gone through all those repetitions of butterflies and RVHs, it's taking its toll in another way. But we all need a break to let our body heal. Elite athletes in all sports at all levels take breaks. The fancy speak is to periodize your training. Of course, it means a heck of a lot more than taking breaks, but it does acknowledge that you need recovery time. And that recovery time, by the way, does not mean sitting on the couch and watching TV or flipping through your phone. By all means, take a week or two of complete downtime. It's not going to harm you. But even when you take a break, it's good to be active. Ride your bike, go for a hike. We're not scheduling a different workout here that's going to feel like work, but do some active things that are fun, refreshing, relaxing, still moving. Put the phone down and get outside. How long should you take off is the question that I actually got in response when I gave my answer via email to this listener. Honestly, however long you need, and maybe even a little bit longer. Woody's told the story before, of course, of Carey Price telling us that he puts the gear away until August. That, for a professional goaltender who plays deep into the playoffs, is still taking a good 2 months away from the ice. And even if you love goaltending and think you can play all summer long, please don't. I can't tell you how long that you should be taking off, but I can promise you that if you go 12 months a year hard, you will eventually go backwards in your development. Your body will feel it, your mind will feel it. And again, as Olympic athletes from all different sports can attest, you will develop more quickly if you give your mind and your body some time to rest. So take some time off. Okay, Darren, you can speak now.
I was going to say, this person hasn't listened for the entire time of this podcast because we've mentioned it several times. You do need breaks. You need a chance to miss the game, right?
That's what Carey used to talk about. That's funny. I was trying to see if I could find the quote as soon as Hutch went into his answers, and I'm glad he mentioned it. Like, one of the greatest goaltenders of his generation, if not the, and did not touch the ice. The gear went into the back of the garage until August 1st. And that is late by today's standards at the National Hockey League level. And he always talked about not just resting the body, because Hutch is right. Like, your body, if you do this 12 months a year, the human body was not designed. It was not designed for the hips to internally rotate into a butterfly. And if you do it nonstop, you will develop repetition patterns that lead to injury. There's a better chance of it, at least, even if you're doing all the work you should be doing, the James Wendland 5 damn things every time before you get on the ice. You're still going to run into problems if you never give your body a chance to rest. But also the passion and the drive, like wanting to put the pads back on. Carey really felt that fueled him, not being in them until August 1st. So, and last time I checked, had a pretty damn good career. So it's important to try other things. It's important to get away from the game. It's something we talk about a lot. And I appreciate Hutch responding to this young goaltender, because I think it's a message that both goalies and parents need to hear, more than on an annual basis. Every time we get to this time of year and there's pressure to compete with and keep up with all the other kids that aren't taking a break, I agree. You'll be better off in the long run if you take a well-timed break.
I just want to underline that I made the point that it's okay if you're not enjoying it right now. Because when we say what Darren said is quite right, you need some time to miss the game. But I think for a lot of people, that sort of implies that you want to play all the time, take some time off so you're really driven to get back on the ice and you're just chomping at the bit. But it's also normal to come off a season and say, I'm done for a while. Mom and dad, if your kid doesn't want to get on the ice, don't look at them and think, oh, what's wrong? What have I done wrong? What should I be doing differently? Let them have the break. It's okay. There's all sorts of different levels of loving hockey, and it doesn't have to be 12 months a year, and you don't all have to be driven like an elite Olympic athlete. Just take some time, and if they come back, they come back.
You should have a first skate of the year every year, which means you've taken a little bit of a break, and then you sort of start over. Visual Edge brings us pro rates.
Yeah,
I believe this is you that sets this up, is it not?
Not exactly usually.
Really? I had that wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
I didn't want to get caught
jump
by
in on this
surprise
one
this
too.
I feel like I've been set up to be the bad guy here, but speaking of guys who have embraced bad guy roles but are really great goaltenders, Visual Edge sent us a little note this week. Jordan Binnington, remember him? 4 Nations, won the championship. Do you know what he was doing to get ready for those games for Canada? He was on, I don't know if it was a computer or an iPod, but he was on the Visual Edge system as part of his preparation. And he sent a nice little note along that we wanted to pass along. Visual Edge, said Binnington, has added a quality element to my preparation as a goaltender. I use the game day drills every game before heading to the rink. It's a combination of recognition, reaction, and focus that activates my brain and eyes to feel ready for what's to come. That is a hell of an endorsement by a hell of a goalie in Jordan Binnington, and the fact that he was using it on a stage as bright and big as the 4 Nations heading into that gold medal game or championship game against the USA, and seeing him, seeing the scores on and knowing that he was on that, using it. Just another goaltender at the highest level talking about how Visual Edge helps them see the game. Well, guess what? Over at the Pro Reads every week, we want to help you read the game better. Take all that vision that you're improving with Visual Edge and apply it to processing. And this week's guest is Joey Decord, who does a great job in these formats, not just because of how he sees and reads the game, but with his honesty. And so, guys, if your team turns the puck over at the blue line and you have a really quick regroup, and we see it in the NHL, it is all about regroups fast. And bam, the other team's coming in with an odd and end numbers, and your defensemen are down near the face-off circles as they come in with speed. What's your initial thought as a goaltender from a depth management position? Are you thinking shot as that guy backs your... Isn't that the worst thing? When a guy's got your defenseman flat-footed and he's backing up onto your lap? I'm thinking shot every time. Well, so was Joey. So he took a little extra ice. Well, guess what? It wasn't a shot. So he walked us through that decision, and he was honest. Like, hey, I probably should have been deeper here on the pass, but here's what I read. Here's what I saw. Here's why I was out past the edge of the blue ice. And then he had a middle lane and a far side option for a one-timer. And so you got to honor the middle lane because it could go right to him for a quick shot. Both 1T options. Another thing that Joey identifies, making sure you check what hand they are. It goes across to the far side, and this is where we get into depth or angle over depth. And so Joey breaks down why his second push isn't out towards the shooting threat, but back towards his post. And he walks us through the video of why that decision to pursue angle ahead of depth gave him a chance to make a very difficult save. Probably still looked really good, but even easier. It looked even easier than it was. And Joey gets into all the minutia. I'm just giving you the surface level breakdown in this week's Pro Reads presented by Visual Edge. You can check it out, of course, if you're a subscriber to InGoal Mag, InGoal Magazine, InGoalMag.com. You can check out Joey's Pro Reads, as well as 275 plus other video breakdowns with NHL goalies walking through footage, explaining their decision-making process. There is no better way to learn how to read the game then the InGoal Pro reads, proudly presented by our friends at Visual Edge.
We're all very excited about this week's feature interview brought to us by NHL Sense Arena. And before we get to Devan Dubnyk and setting that up, Hutch, just a word on NHL Sense Arena.
Oh, you didn't want Woody to set this one up?
I've been in Sense Arena a lot lately, so I can speak to it.
Hey, after your young goaltender has taken a break, after they've taken some time to go outside and have some fun, part of their summer preparation could be NHL Sense Arena. It's a great way to work on your goaltending skills when you don't have access to the ice, when you just want to get involved a little bit, work on your development, but maybe you don't have a coach to guide you. If you don't have a coach to guide you, you don't have ice, you do have NHL Sense Arena's new Goalie Advancement Program, which is a fully guided training program for goalies of all ages and skill levels, yes, including Kevin Woodley. It is designed to help you in 3 key areas. That's angles, traffic, and reading the release. Maybe you even get a chance to splay across the crease like Kevin Woodley. Each course features 3 difficulty levels tailored to age and shot speed. There's 3 training days per level with 6 to 8 drills per session, guided by expert insights from Brian DeCord. So this summer, let NHL Sense Arena and their new Goalie Advancement Program guide your off-ice development with structured, expert-led training. Visit sensearena.com and use the code IGM50 at checkout to get started today.
I am loving the shot release mastery course. So it's basically learning how to read a release. And it is a great point about not having ice. Even if you did have a coach in ice, and we know how expensive that is, are you actually going to head out there and just watch shots go by you while you're looking at the hands or the knees or the hips?
Craig
or the
Anderson
skates?
told you he did that in the National Hockey League.
Right,
Speaking of things we should link to.
And Craig Anderson gets at the NHL level, he can say to a coach, hey, by the way, coach, I'm not really going to try and stop this one. I'm not going to watch the puck. I'm trying to work on my reads today. Really tough to do. But within this shot mastery program, shot release mastery program, they have it that one of the segments is called ghosting. And I went through the whole thing to try and learn to be better at reading a release. And I don't know if I'm any better because I'm still me, but man, like some of the anticipation stuff, I started to pick up on the cues. And, Devin Levi sits on his couch and watches these shooters all the time to sort of, again, work on tracking releases and learning how to read a release. It's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend.
So Devan Dubnyk.
Doobie. This is all encompassing. We haven't caught up with Doobie for a while. I know he's been working on a training program called Dubnyk Development. We'll have links in the show notes. And just a chance for us to catch up with him. There's a little bit of talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. There's a lot of talk about his career and sort of some of the different themes and stages he went through and some of the foundations that he's developed as a goalie at the National Hockey League level for 15 years, ultimately where he ended up and what he thought was most important. And now his son is 11. He's coaching him. He's a goalie and he's enjoying it so much that he decided to build out a program for other goaltenders. So this is a chance, we're not here to shill his program, but to talk about his philosophies and how he's planning on applying it in a way where you don't have to be in Minnesota to work with him. There's a lot of video element to this. So something exciting, something new from a guy who we've always had a great relationship with. I learned a bunch in this interview, and I think our listeners will too. Really excited to welcome back to the InGoal Radio podcast, 3rd time appearance for the man who wears the double D logo, Devan Dubnyk. It's got a new meaning now. He's been retired for a few years. We're going to talk about Dubnyk Development, a new project he's got started up. But first off, been doing a bunch of media. How are things? Catch us up in your world.
Yeah, it's been great. Didn't do in-person NHL Network this year. Kind of missed it. Spoke with them, and so I started to do some remote shows for them, which is fun because I can just do it from right where I'm sitting right here. That's NHL Tonight First Take. Obviously, Canadian viewers don't get that, although they might during playoffs. That's the earlier show, so that's been kind of fun to get back into that, and then hopefully do some live stuff again next year. And I've been working on Oilers Nation, which has been a lot of fun. And it kind of happened out of nowhere. I started doing once a week hits on their Oilers Nation everyday show, and we were having fun with it. And they asked if I wanted to do more, and I said absolutely. It was easy, and it kept me in the game, and it was a lot of fun. And so they created a new show for me called Ask Duby, which goes out every Wednesday. If you want to check it out on YouTube, it's been a lot of fun. It's basically just a short question and answer. So people write in their questions, and I record the show and give my answers to the questions. We pick the good ones and the entertaining ones, and that's been great. And then I'm working pre and post game on the Oilers playoff games with Oilers Nation as well. So that's been a lot of fun too, because it's been a long time since I've been able to really care about you care about watching and how the players are doing stuff, but really like cheer for a team essentially. So it's been fun to kind of become a little bit of an Oilers fan while watching these games, combined with the fact that it's been a heck of a roller coaster in these playoffs for the Oilers to be able to follow that and have every single game have you sitting on the edge of your seat and getting to break down pre and post has just been a blast.
What's the challenge from an analyst side? Because you have to be fair, you have to be honest, you have to be blunt, but you're also in the union, right? We don't want anybody taking away the goalie union card. How do you walk that line, walk that balance when you're wearing that hat? And I guess, not to try and answer the question, is a lot of it just explaining to people like how difficult some of this stuff is and what exactly makes it difficult? And maybe you got an example from recent days.
Well, that's exactly it, right? It's you have to be honest, but you're always, like, as an ex-player, you're always going to bat for the player first. And at some point you do have to be honest. If it's not going well consistently over and over, if it's one game, you got to tee off on a guy over one game. But I think you nailed it, where the most important thing is that it's explaining what's going on around him. Like talking about Skinner in the first two LA games. Yeah, he wasn't good. He was frantic moving around. He didn't look comfortable. Goals were going in. Look what was happening in front of him. And even you go through the games, he gives up 5 and 6 goals, and it's like, okay, let's walk through the goals here. And look at what happened in front of him. Which one do you want him to stop? Of course you want him to stop all of them, but if you're gonna pick one, it's like, okay, maybe he needs to step out and square up to Quinn Byfield walking in by himself going under the bar. Like, if now you're starting to pick at goals that if they were goal one, 1 or 2 goals in a game, and those goals happen you'd never even think about, then yes, he still needs to find a save here and there and be a difference maker in the game. But the way the Oilers were playing at the start of the playoffs, nobody's winning games when they're playing like that. It was just, and watch the evolution of the way they've played from that until really second half of that series. They've just been incredible to watch, and then it shows, right? It's like, I don't care. There's no goalie in the world that's good enough to make a bad team good. There's just not. You can make a good team great. You can't stick anybody on a bad hockey team, especially with the creativity and the skill level of the game today. They're going to get scored on. It's just the way it is. And so that's the thing, is just breaking it down for people. And you know what? Even explaining what he should have done differently if that opportunity is there, but not saying he sucks and he should be out of the net and get the other guy in and all this stuff. And it's the human side of it, and understanding what is a goalie seeing from their eyes in the net, and not from the TV where you can see everything around him. What you're actually seeing, if a guy crosses in front of your eyes right as the puck comes off the stick, if you don't see that puck leave the stick blade, you're behind a split second. Well, guess what? You only got a split second. So it's probably going in the net unless you somehow made a great guess on where it was going. So all these little details, and it's fun to break down. It's fun to get talking about. I always call a goalie nerding out, but you start getting rambling on it. I'm like, I don't even know if anybody wants to hear this, because I'm just going on and on about it, but people seem to enjoy it. And I think it's important because, how many people played hockey that are hockey fans that are watching? They've played hockey. How many people have played goalie at any sort of high level? I mean, the number shrinks so much. So if you're able to provide this insight to people who wouldn't otherwise understand, it helps everybody.
In some ways, it feels like it's a pro. You've done pro reads with us in the past where you break down your own saves. In some ways, it feels like that, like all the little details that go into analyzing a play and all the things you have to worry about to be able to get to the point of seeing and reading a release broken down for other people to understand.
Yeah. So you try to dumb it down a little bit, because if you and I are talking, obviously we're going to get into a whole lot more vocabulary and words that some people aren't going to understand. So you just simplify it, but it's not hard when when you break it down and you show people in slow motion and different replays, they can see it. Anybody that you don't even need to be a hockey expert, and that's my job, and that's what I take pride in is getting people to be able to see what I'm talking about on these replays and kind of go, oh, okay, I never saw that, never thought of that, because it can run all the way back from 2 passes prior to what happened, or maybe a little bump that spun somebody sideways that really kind of like spiraled the whole situation that ended up the puck entering the net. And that's just the fun little things. You try to find the things that the average watcher isn't going to have any clue about. And then you walk them through the play and say, no, this is what happened. And at the end of the day, it's like, you don't need to be like, he should have stopped it or he shouldn't have stopped it. You're just explaining why the puck went in the net and maybe what he saw and maybe what he would have liked to do differently next time. But that you don't really need to have he's got to save that one. He's got to have that or whatever. You're just explaining what happened. And I said I was on him a little bit on the after the when he came back in after Pickard was hurt, when they got scored on with 0.4 seconds left. And it wasn't really about his play. It was just kind of like, okay, at some point here, and I hate the way when you talk about goalies, you got to steal one. Well, goalie can't go steal one if he only gets 10 shots. But I said at some point here, the narrative's got to change. And I don't know what that is, because again, you don't know what is going to be presented to you in the game. You can't control that. So I don't know what that looks like. But at some point, he's got to do something to change the narrative, because it's 6-0 for Pickard, 0-3 for Skinner. All this, 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals against. Last minute goal. Everybody's up in arms about this last minute goal, which I didn't even dislike the way he played it. He's in sellout mode, but at some point you got to find a way. And I was going through stuff like that in my career, where you're frustrated with a stretch and you can keep coming up with reasons as to why it's happening. Things that are going on in front of you. But at some point when it goes on for a certain period of time, it's like, all right, well, you got to change it. You can come up with all the excuses and everything that's going on, but something has to change. And that was really the only time I got after Skinner a little bit. Must have listened, because he just started rattling off shutouts like it was easy. But that's really, it's got to take a lot for me to say anything truly negative about a goalie.
And a play like that, because I think everybody can probably picture it. I think everybody's seen that replay. I can look at that, and I was asked to do the same thing. Like technically, do you want to get a little rotation and back to your post, or are you just trying to check? Like the guy's walking in after making a great fake, like hat tip. Yeah, 2 defenders and the goalie bid on it, and he's walking in with his head up in this. And what do you do different there?
Well, right, and I again, that was kind of one where you just explain it. It's like, okay, so let's start first of all. William Karlsson skates up the ice. This is not Connor McDavid skating up the ice. So you got 7 seconds left or something. This guy skates from his own end, self chips it to himself, and is first guy to the puck. Problem number 1 that has nothing to do with Stuart Skinner is that William Karlsson just skated down the entire ice and got the puck below the goal line on his own. Problem number 2, you have one job with 3 seconds on the clock when the puck is below your goal line. Don't let him center it. That's the guy behind the net. Don't let him center the puck.
Yeah, you got to get stick on puck there.
Job failed. Lay down. I don't care. Slide stack pad into the boards. Like, there's 3 seconds left. This isn't conventional hockey. You just do whatever you can do. Okay, job failed. Now the guy's back checking. I mean, and the clock comes into everything here because everybody thinks the game's over. Now you got 2 guys coming back with, I think it was McDavid and Nurse. They're on tunnel vision because they think the play's dead. They haven't looked behind them. Problem number 3. Now you get 2 guys standing beside each other with Smith coming in with a full head of steam. Leon's late coming back. He's probably gassed because he's been on the ice for 4 minutes, which they needed to have a chance in this game. And then when Skinner comes out, you stop it. He's in sellout mode. Same thing. He knows what time it is on the clock. He gets his feet way outside of his body when he gets in his stance. So from that point, when you talk about rotation, it's impossible. His feet are well outside of shoulder width. So when that shot comes, he's stuck. So his only option at that point is to go for a chase, is to take off. He can't gain angle. He can only go flat sideways. So his only option, knowing there's the time on the clock, is to chase him to the corner like he did. And he actually did his job because he forced him to a spot that he couldn't hit the net with the puck. He didn't. It wasn't going in. So Skinner actually did his job there and forced him to an angle that he couldn't shoot the puck in the net. And obviously, we know what happened. Unfortunately, Draisaitl's back checking, and it's a bad bounce off of his stick, and everyone wants to rip on him for that. He's just trying to get back. But breaking stuff down like that and just kind of showing it clip to clip. Well, why didn't he gain angle? Well, this is why he didn't gain angle. It started from here. He got stuck with his feet wide, and he has no option but to just go sideways at that point.
It feels like when you break this down, and I'm a goalie nerd, so I'm loving all of it. But it feels like this might echo a video session, like the kind of thing you might do with a coach if you're Skinner after that game. Like, okay, what happened here? Is that somewhat reflective, not to a T, because coaches are going to have different ways of different teaching things, but like, does that echo sort of how you preferred to go through video during your 15-year NHL career?
Yeah, and I would get into a routine. It's not right after the game. Obviously, you never want to look at something right after a game because emotions are high. That's for everybody. I think players and coaches. Emotions are high. You got to let yourself relax a little bit and come down from the excitement of the game so you can think a little more clearly. So Bob Mason and I would always do video the next day, and we would just basically go through all the touches, every clip, every goal. We walked through, and I was older and obviously played a lot, and so it was more of a conversation with Bobby and I. I was a big self teacher as well when I was playing. I was constantly trying to think of ways that I can get better, and I could watch a video and go through obviously what I'm talking about with you right now. I could go through that myself in my head and be critical of myself and try to figure out how to do it better. So with Bobby, it was great because it was just a conversation between me and him. I'm telling him what I saw, what I felt, what I was thinking. He's telling me what he's seeing from above. Obviously, you got two different perspectives, so it's great to get both. And then you just talk it through. And it's like at the end of it, all right, all you got to do is good, bad, indifferent. However the goal, what did you do? What could you have done differently? Would you have done it differently? And move on. And that's just how you learn, because it's done, it's over, game's done. So it's like there's some goals. I used to like to treat it like I want to think about the fact that I could have stopped every puck in every single game and treat it that way. So that if I'm looking at a goal, it's like, yeah, okay, but I could have done something differently. What would that be? Even if it's not realistic, think about what that could be. If it's out of my skill set, if it's out of my ability, it's still fun to think about. That's how you grow. Okay, it wasn't in my ability today. Let's make it in my ability next week. Let's work on it. And, there are some goals that hit off of a chest going 5 feet wide that like you literally can't do anything about. But it's pretty rare if you can't find something in a play, even if you got to run it back a little bit and say, all right, well, what about when it entered the zone? You're deep, your feet weren't set. That caused you to get flat here. You can run it all the way back and just say, I would have started differently before the goal even happened. So it's just all things, again, it's growing. And I don't think you have to have a negative outlook when you're watching replays and you're watching goals. You just watch it for what it is. Like I said, it's what happened. What would you do differently? Could you do it differently? And put it in your toolbox and try to keep it there.
It basically sounds like a how-to manual of how to learn how to read and process the game.
Yes, exactly. And being able to see it. That's why video is so important. And you never want to overuse video, but just video review. Like video review, I would never want to watch or have somebody like watch a team to like pre-scout them because you have to react as a goalie. Now, forwards, yes, of course, you got to pre-scout teams because you're playing a system against them, and you want to know as a goalie, you definitely want to know if there's certain plays or tendencies of a couple players. But I'm more looking at review because you're just going over what happened. And again, goalie is purely reactive to what happens in front of you. Every game is completely different, so it's better to look at what happened than trying to guess what happened. Essentially, I hated when a coach would try to tell me to like watch the shootout players before the game in case we got to a shootout. we can talk about the players who's probably going to shoot. That's what Bobby and I would do, is we go through 3 or 4 guys who are going to shoot if it's the shootout. So I know who's coming. Not like, I mean, you pretty much know who's coming anyway on every team, but I think it was in Nashville, we would literally watch the shooters, and then it like gets in your head because the guy comes in, oh, he's coming from this angle, he's going to do this, and like the second he goes to do something, you just bite because you're like, instead of reacting, you're trying to guess that he's going to do that move, and then more often than not, he'd do something else, and you look like an idiot.
I'm used to looking like an idiot, so maybe I should watch more video.
Like, just play goalie, don't guess.
I love that, and actually, this kind of brings me at Dubnyk Development. Like, so in the 4 years since you stopped playing, you've done a lot of media work, but now you're going to transition into coaching. And how much of what you're trying to do with Dubnyk Development, easy for me to say, Dubnyk Development, is sort of about these lessons, because we see a lot, what I see at the youth level a lot is summer camps and summer technique and things like that. But then you get into a season, which is where these lessons are learned at the highest levels, the video, the interaction. And a lot of kids don't have a lot of coaching or instruction. Is that kind of part of what you're trying to build here?
That's exactly what it is. And I would say the vast majority of kids don't get this. There's obviously lack of goaltending coaching on teams, which is understandable. There's a lot of youth hockey teams, a lot of youth hockey players. You can't necessarily have a dedicated goalie coach, for squirt, peewee, bantam teams even. Like, it's a lot of work. First, you got to find someone who's capable of doing it, and then have the time. So it's understandable. And I think you're right. They get all this stuff in the off season, and then they don't have it during the season. And I was fortunate enough to work with Lyle Mast for the last 6 years of my career. Essentially, what kind of gave me this idea for the program, because I kind of did it with him in a different way. Obviously, I'm older and established NHL player. I'm not going to need to have weekly conversations with Lyle about life and how everything's going, although you can if you want. But it kind of got me thinking about this and something that I wanted to do, because I love coaching kids, and I've always enjoyed doing it. I have 3 kids of my own, so I'm out there with them and their buddies and their teams all the time. And you learn different ways and how to connect with different kids and all these things. And I love doing it, but I don't want to do full-time goalie coaching. So I'm like, how can I help a younger generation of goalies with all of these things that they're never going to get? And that's the video review breakdowns. That's just the communication and the talking. This is why I refer to it as a mentorship program, because it's the whole thing. Goalie's hard. Nobody understands what it's like to be a goalie. And we can say, well, it's minor hockey, it's a peewee game. Well, guess what? That peewee game to that kid is the whole world. And so we can say maybe it's not a big deal, or if they're struggling a little bit throughout the season, it's just peewee hockey. Well, no, it's not whatever to these kids, and they're learning how to deal with this stuff. This is probably what they're going to sleep thinking about every night, is like, I'm struggling, and nobody. I can't talk to anybody. Nobody knows what I'm struggling with. I don't know what I'm struggling with, and so bringing that communication side as well, where I'm available, email, text, phone. Obviously, don't want to be on the phone 24/7 with a bunch of kids. Careful. But if it's necessary, right? It's there if it's necessary to talk through and go through all these different things. How do you be a good teammate as a goalie? How are you a good teammate in the dressing room? How are your practice habits to be a good teammate, to one, get better yourself, but also be a good teammate to your players? With effort level, with attitude, all of these things that are such huge parts to being a goalie, being a good person, but also advancing and going up to different teams. Okay, you think Calvin Pickard is the best goalie, is one of the best 64 goalies on the planet, skill-wise? Probably not. Is he a great teammate who's been a great teammate, who works his ass off harder than anybody and has a great mental mindset? Yes, and look what he's done. Look where he is. And so that gets you to higher levels. That's going to get you on a better team and playing at a higher level, to learn not just going on the ice, pushing and stopping, going down and being some weirdo that no one wants to be around. That's not hockey. We all know that hockey is such a team sport, and the culture in the dressing room and all of these things are such a huge part of being on a successful team, that these are just as important as the on ice things. And this is kind of what I want to bring to a select number of kids. I mean, I'm obviously only have time for a smaller group of kids. So, I want to be able to give my full time to the group that I end up working with, so I can provide all of these things.
It's funny because I thought of it mostly in terms of the video stuff as being unique, but it really is like all the life experiences that you've been through, junior, pro, and been through as many ups and downs as anyone, and came out on the other side of it with a lot of ups. It's a full mentorship. It's not just the video stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I can explain to people as well. Is I've been, like you said, I've been pretty much as high as you can be, other than a Stanley Cup, and about as low as you can be, and that's all the way from junior. I mean, I have a full first round draft pick, so I moved away at 15, played major junior, first round draft pick. I don't got to tell the whole story right now, but everything's going up and up and up. Fall off a cliff, come back, vote of Vezina, 3 All-Star games. Like, I've seen it all. And I've been through it all. I know what it feels like to do all of these things, how to perform at the highest pressure situations, how to figure it out when you've completely forgot how to stop the puck and think that your career is ending. I've seen and dealt with all of these things, and these are just things that I want to be able to provide other people with that care and honestly want to get better and have this be a part of their lives. Because yes, at the end of the day, everybody wants to play pro, everybody wants to play college, all of these things, and that's obviously the goal. But youth hockey it's like the best time of your life, and you think back in all of these memories, whether you make it or not. The goal is to get you to the highest level that you could possibly play at, whatever that is. And the memories and, being the good teammate and having all these experiences, that is going to be a core of your entire life, because it's one of the best times that you're ever going to go through in a 8 to 10 year stretch. And so I want to take kids, all the way through. Obviously, listen, I'm very interested in working with professionals as well, and college kids, and I can do that as well. But it's a combination of all of that, of just building them to be the best hockey goalie, hockey teammate, hockey person they can be, because it's gonna be so huge for them in life in general as well.
It's funny. I mean, we'll take it back to the Edmonton Oilers example and Pickard, but you talked about how bad Edmonton was in those first 2 games for Stu, and then Calvin comes in, and the game their defensive game picked up, and I look at some of the underlying numbers throughout the season, and I'm like, man, like, they play so hard for this guy. Like, they defend really well. And to me, one of the biggest changes in the postseason was they found that game again. Maybe they would have regardless, but to your point, it doesn't matter how good a team you are. If you don't defend like at a better level than they did in the first 2, you're going nowhere. Maybe it's a coincidence they found it for Pickard, but it just feels like the things he does, the way he battles for them, they reciprocate it. So me asking you now, pulling back from that, what are those things? Like, what does that look like for, say, a young peewee or, say, a 15-year-old goaltender? Like, what are the things that you need to make sure you think about to be a good teammate at that level?
Well, I can't give away all my secrets on here right away. No, I'm just kidding.
We gotta have a few.
I'm just kidding. But yes, so it starts. It's every day. So it starts in practice. All right, you got to be the hardest working guy in practice, and I know that's cliche, whatever. And listen, everybody works hard differently, but you got to be out there in practice, and you got to be trying on shots. You got to be trying on rebounds. You got to be having fun with the guys, not yelling at them. And I know things get frustrating sometimes. Every day is not going to be perfect. There's going to be some FUs here and there and whatever. But for the most part, you're out there working your butt off, getting them better, getting you better, laughing and having fun. That comes with working hard, because working hard and stopping pucks is having fun. Little competitions in practice, all these things. It starts there. You create this bond with your teammates where, they're out there, they're working their butt off trying to get better. And they're not seeing a goalie standing in there complaining or not trying in practice. It starts there. And then in games, in the dressing room and all these things, how do you talk to the players? Are you getting upset with them every time you get scored on or every time a mistake happens? That doesn't work either. You're all there for each other. Like, again, going to the Pickard thing, those guys are going to go to war for him because they know he's going to war for them. And you can see it. It doesn't seem to make sense. And that doesn't mean they're not going to do it for Skinner, but they just needed that change where like they just, I don't know, they completely changed the way they were playing. And they got a couple saves, and Picks looks like some saves are harder than they are, but maybe that's what they needed, right? They needed to look like, oh, he's making these big saves back here, and we're going. But the way that you go through, it's a journey and it's a battle for everybody throughout a hockey season. So you can't be pointing fingers, you can't be yelling at guys for mistakes. It is so much more productive to pick somebody up if they made a mistake. You can be frustrated in the moment, take a breath, go give him a tap on the shin pads. Don't worry about it. He knows he messed up. You don't got to tell him. You don't got to repeat what he's going to hear 6 more times from the coach. Pick him up. And then you grow this bond and it feels good. And you realize, oh, this is so much more fun. And you grow as a group. And and then again, you're going to enjoy your time. You're going to play better. You're going to be on better teams. All of these things are going to come together if you learn how to be a great teammate. And guess what? That's going to take you a long way in life too if you start treating people like you treat your teammates.
So one quick question, because we know, and in the past we harped on this maybe a little too much at InGoal. I remember writing articles about it at NHL.com. Like, the reality is, even at the NHL level, there's a lot of practices and drills and reps that, forget being not good for a goalie, can actually be detrimental. But we can't give in to that as goalies and become bad teammates. There are times where you are a target out. How do you find, like, is it about finding ways to use them to your advantage? Is it about accepting there are times when you're just there with a target on your chest? Like, how do you approach that balance between, I'm trying to get better, these drills aren't helping me get better, but I know I need to be a good teammate?
Yeah, well, so that's the thing is, and I tell my 11-year-old's a goalie, and I tell him this all the time. I said, listen, buddy, this is a tough drill. Okay, shots are coming quick; they're coming from close. So let's think about what we can get better here. All right, you can't go down on every shot because they come too quick and you're too tired. So let's think about a couple things. I want your chest lined up on the puck. I want your feet set, and I want you to watch every puck. If it goes by you, I don't care. I want you to watch it. I don't want you to just let it go by you. Okay. There's 3 things that we can get better at in that drill and it doesn't matter if pucks go in or not. Chest line up, watch the puck, and have your feet set. It doesn't matter if there's 400 shots coming your way. You don't have to go down on one of them, and you can work on those 3 things. Then that's going to put you in a better mood than if you're just constantly thinking about, oh, this drill's stupid. Oh, this is too tiring. Oh, they're shooting from too close. Listen, I keep telling guys too, that doesn't change all the way up. The boys love to shoot from the hash marks all the way to the top. The shots just get faster. So you might as well get used to it now. But just, again, finding ways to maximize your practice. So, because we don't know some days there's a great goalie practice, the way the drills are set up, and every single drill, and we feel great. Every single drill, you got a little bit of time in between. You got enough time to play a rebound. You can really focus on the first shot. Other times they're doing skill drills and it's bang, 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 bang. So find ways to maximize your time on the ice and get better at something every single drill. That's going to put you in a better mood to deal with the guys that are shooting against you. You're not going to get that frustration towards them if you feel like you're still getting something out of the drill. And that's a constant growth for everybody. I mean, I dealt with that my entire career. I think I only got really good at it at the end because I just, I knew my time was coming to an end and I wasn't starting in San Jose and Colorado. And, life sucked for everybody at that time with COVID. And it's just like, go have fun and laugh with the guys. And it's so much better. And you feel better about yourself. And again, it makes you closer to your teammates. But I think just maximizing that time that you get out of practice and not throwing a practice away or throwing 2 drills away because they don't perfectly align with what you're trying to do at that time.
So back to the Dubnyk Development program, the mentorship program, will you, if people are applying to be a part of it to work with you from distances, will it be, again, there's the mentorship element, but is it a lot of video? Is it game only? Will you look at some practice video? And I'm assuming they provide that to you. Like, I know Stephen Valiquette does something similar, and we've talked about that. The value of this and how you make sure kids make sure they get a lot out of it.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this. The video does need to be provided by the player and the parents of the player. Obviously, I can't do that. I'm excited about the program option. So I'm offering two programs. One is a local program. If you're in the Twin Cities area, that's where I am. It's the same program as the other one, but there's an on ice component to it. So again, it's during the season. So there's not a ton of on ice, but there's some preseason and then just some here and there throughout the season for some touch-ups, because you don't need, they're already on the ice a ton. You don't need a whole bunch of one-on-one sessions. You just need quality sessions where they can grab, just maybe a quick light switch to grab on to what you've been talking about through these videos. So I've been working with Huddle Camera. If you're unaware of it, you can check out the website. It's HUDL. And so they're providing me with cameras. So each one of my clients is going to get a Huddle True Focus camera that can be set up on a tripod, play and stop. It gets sent directly to me, and I can clip it and go through it game to game. The more the better. More video, the better. So if a goalie coach, if the player is able to go on and put a tripod on the ice on practice and record with an iPhone, that can still be uploaded to me immediately. Obviously, that's great video because you're getting a lot closer into the net. So for me, it's providing as much video as you can provide. I can decide if I'm going to use it or not, but the more the better. And then I'll go through it and clip it and talk to them once a week. 1 week will be a video that I'll send out. That'll just be me going through game clips or practice clips or whatever I've been provided, talking over. Next week will be a voice call, whether that's if it's a local program, if we can meet in person, great. If not, it'll be a call like you and I are doing right now. And we'll screen share and we'll go over it and we'll talk about it together in person. And that'll just alternate weeks throughout the entire season. And that's the remote program is exciting to me because it allows me to have an opportunity to do this with anybody in North America. From Canada to, obviously it thins out in the States as you get more south, but and it's going to be tricky to pick kids who I want to work with because I only have a certain number of hours that I can do it. And I want to work with kids who want to work, not just want to sign up. I want the kid to really be invested because a lot of the time without the on ice stuff, I'm not there for. So I can't control what they're going to go do. They need to be invested in what I'm teaching them and ready to go put it on the ice when I'm not there. And so it takes the right person. I think there's thousands and thousands of kids out there that have this attitude. And I just want to help them get better and again, grow as an entire person. And that is going to help you grow. And because I can provide all of the technical stuff as well.
Where does for you had so many influences over the years. I mean, Sean Burke with Arizona. We've talked in the past about depth management, all the lessons learned there. Freddie Chabot in Edmonton, and then again in Minnesota. You mentioned Lyle and your work privately with him. If I were to ask you, what is the foundation of your teaching approach? It's probably differs based on the kid and the goalie and the attributes they bring. But is there a foundation you see right now as the game continues to evolve that sort of maybe anchors your philosophy?
Yeah, and that's what I worked with Lyle with, and we've talked about it. It's the head tracking. It's the head position and the eyes is really what starts everything. And it's people get all squirrely about it, but it's just the way it is. If you watch, it puts your body in the position to do what it wants to do. Your eyes are getting information that it's sending to your brain that's going to tell your body what to do. So the more information, the more access that you have, the more information your body is going to get, and it's going to move naturally and powerfully. So that's the foundation. And then, so getting kids to understand that's their stance, and it's not telling them where to hold their hands. Everybody is completely different. Everybody can do whatever they want. It's getting their upper body and their head looking at the puck properly. Then as you move, looking at the puck first is going to then send the information to the body to get there. So you start with this foundation, and then I want to work with their strengths more. I don't want to go and look at somebody and be like, you're not good at this. You're not good at this. We're going to hammer on this. Because when I worked with Freddie in Edmonton, and that's the other thing, I've seen every single different technique you could imagine because I was doing skate saves when I started playing hockey. I was watching VHS tapes, making skate saves on the ice. It was a drill that we did when I was like 14 years old. So I've seen it all and done it all. But working with Freddie in Edmonton was great because how he would approach it is we would watch other goalies all the time and what they're doing. And the VH was really big at this time and coming in. And then toward the end, it was the RVH that was just coming in. And so we'd watch these other goalies and he'd be like, hey, check this out. Like, let's go run some drills and practice and let's work on this. And I learned so many different techniques doing this, but sometimes we would do something and I'd be like, Freddie, I can't do that. And I know for a fact that I'm not going to like mentally be able to do this because my body can't do this. My hips aren't flexible enough in that way, or my knee, or, you know, and I was good through my hips and knees, but it's just like my strength, whatever it was, it's like, I can't do that. And I'm not going to be able to do that. I can tell you that right now, it's not going to work. And Freddie would be like, great, throw it away. Let's figure out what we're going to use that's going to work for you. And then let's get really good at it. And that's what I want to take with these kids is, listen, of course there's things that you have to add and incorporate and there's weaknesses that you want to get stronger, but let's not, you can't create a bunch of robots, which is where it's gone these days, is just creating every single kid to play the same way. Well, every single kid's body is completely different. I didn't play the same way. I can't do what Vasilevsky does. Nobody can, but you get where I'm going.
Yeah.
Or Bob or whatever. Like, I can't move like that, but I still have to go play at their level. I still have to go and try to compete with them and be a top 5 goalie in the NHL, but I can't do what they do. So how am I going to do it? All my game reads, I'm going to stand deeper in my net. I'm not going to get running around. I'm going to do the things that work for me to let me be as good as them in a different way. And that's what I want to discover every single one of these person's best attributes, because naturally that's why they're there in the first place, and why they do what they do is because that's what their brain and their body is telling them to do. That's what they're strong at. So let's work with that stuff. Let them be the athlete. Let them be great. Let's incorporate all these things in and allow these strengths to be great, and then build up the bottom end as well as we go. But don't just focus on, you can't do this. This is what everybody's doing. This is the fad. This is the trend right now. We got to get good at that, or you can't play goalie anymore. I just don't think that's how you create robots that don't know how to play actual hockey games.
I was just going to say, you couldn't do the VH anyways because you never wore knee pads, one off the bare knee, and you would have been done. Crazy. I couldn't believe you never wore them.
I had the really thin little thigh boards, the old Vaughn ones that wrapped around my leg that really hurt if you got it, but it didn't put you out. Just a nice big old bruise on there.
Yeah, I remember the first time seeing that you weren't wearing much under there and being like, dude, seriously?
The looks I get from kids when I say VH are like I don't even think they know how to do it. Like they're like, I've told some kids just out of curiosity, like, hey, like put your leg on the post up and put your knee down, and they're like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, yeah, put your knee up, put your knee down. And they're like, it is such a foreign concept because it's just so much RVH. And I mean, for a reason, it's a much better technique, but it's just funny. These kids, like, they're like, look at me like I got 3 heads. So like, what are you telling me to do? I'm like, no, I'm not telling you to do it. Just try to do it just for my humor.
I love the approach because you're going to be teaching them through the video how to read the game, but not how to react to it the way you would. Like,
exactly.
You'll allow them to see, hey, like, you're good at this. So like, what do you see here? Can we maybe try with this X? You know, like, you're going to work their game into learning how to process the game and how to process it through their eyes and their skill set.
Exactly. And that's, not quite the same, but like with Berkey, everyone's, what did Sean Burke do? Like, what did he work with you? Berkey just got me to figure out where I needed to play in my net and have my feet set. Berkey didn't tell me how to stop the puck or how I should be making a save or what specific things I should be doing. Berkey was like, I don't care where you play in your net, but you got to beat the puck on your feet and you got to have your feet set. So wherever that is for you and your skating ability, great. Mike Smith, that's why he played so deep, because everybody looks at the goalies and they're like, well, they play so deep. Well, that's why Smitty was excelled, because Smitty couldn't play out. He wasn't comfortable playing out. That didn't work for him. It wasn't his game. Yet, until he gets to Berkey, he's got, I'm sure, coaches telling him, no, this is where you got to play. You got to be at the top of your crease. You got to be 6 inches outside of your crease. You got to cut down the angle, all these things. And it was hard for Smitty. And, He's got some of the best hands I've ever seen in my life. So you bring him back in the crease. Now he's comfortable with his movements. Now he's got the fastest hands in the league. And look what happens. And so Berkey was the same thing for me. He wasn't like, no, for you, the way you got to play this way. That I want you to beat the passes on your feet. So wherever that is, the closer it is, the further back you got to be. You got to beat it on your feet, and you got to have your feet set when the plays come. And that changed my whole game, because all of a sudden I was playing in a spot that if a guy was walking down and I was set on him, that I knew whoever was over here, I knew I could get there if I needed to. So I knew I was in the proper depth in my crease. I didn't have to think about that. I knew that if that pass went, boom, I could get over there on my feet, and then everything became comfortable with where I was playing the game in my net. And then, obviously I could play goalie. I didn't forget how to play goalie. So that just freed me up to being able to not think about anything, because I knew I could get from A to B to C on my feet and feet set. And that was a big thing for me, was having my feet set, because I wasn't a guy that, like a Ryan Miller, who was incredible with his forward and backward motion, and he could make all these incredible saves while moving. I couldn't do that, because when I started moving forward and backward, my hands got sucked into my body when I go down and I go chasing stuff. And so for me, that doesn't work. I'm not going to tell Ryan Miller to play a foot inside his crease and push and stop on everything, because that's not Ryan Miller. He was unbelievable at his flow and his game. Like it was a talent. And that's what's fun about, it's like everybody's so different. So make them the greatest version of themselves.
I love, that, and I've heard it from you before, so it's not new. Berkey just not telling you how to play, just giving you a piece that allowed you to play your game set and square from a depth management perspective, which is a lot of the game, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned tracking. I'm curious, because I think there are a lot of people that do get up in arms over it, and they do think that it is telling you one way to play.
No, because it's really it's not at all. It's telling you to look at the puck. It's access to the puck. So again, there's scientific evidence showing that it works. And so there's a difference between, Lyle always tells me, if you looking at a puck. So if a puck's down and you're looking down at it, okay, well, if you look up and you're looking down through your eyes at it, if you put your hands down by your stomach and wiggle your fingers, you can't see them. So you're going to lose sight of the puck. You're losing, this much time to actually look at the puck, and you're not seeing it come at you. You're seeing it come away from you. And so just that head position, having your eyes directly on access to the puck. Now, your vision and your information that your brain is getting is now the puck looks like it's coming at you and not away from you. And so you'll realize everything is just here and not needing to go chasing it. And that's just one small little part. But even, the getting recoveries for me with kids is just going through it slowly, is like little things. If you look up, the rotation starts to come. If you start with your shoulders, or if you start moving your body before getting access to the puck, the rotation comes, because you start here first, then you need to rotate back to get your foot up.
Yeah, the counter rotation.
It's one extra movement every time. So you're eliminating one movement, and it's fun if you get, a good slippery pair of, or, I did a couple times where I actually put my leg pads on the ice, which I felt for a few days after that. But just to try to show them, if you get nice, fresh ice too, you can go down and literally, if you look properly, you'll just turn without actually turning anything. Like your body will gain angle, just because that, again, it's the information in your brain. It's telling you where you want to go. So if I go like this, I don't have the information that, all the rotation starts to come in. If I'm down and I look down at it, everything is just going to naturally go. I literally just need to pick my foot up. There's no rotate, swivel, get your angle. If I look down at it, my shoulders are going to naturally turn. My brain's telling me that's where I want to go. By the time I pick my foot up and set it down, I've gained my angle. I have my angle. If I pick my foot up as I'm turning my head or before I turn my head, my foot is planted flat. And so the only way for me to gain my angle is now use my edge to change the angle, which guess what? That's one extra movement. You're behind now. So like Lyle always says, you're gaining speed how do you gain speed, right? You get stronger, you get faster, you train all this. How do you can gain speed without hitting the gym just by eliminating these movements. And that's what Lyle's been, that's his whole thing. And that's what he's been teaching me, still continues to teach me. I still lean on him for lots of stuff. Got a great relationship, and I'll be leaning on him with this stuff. I'm sure it's going to be a great opportunity where I'm going to be working with kids. I'm going to send something to Lyle and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, but I can't maybe get this. And he's going to help me out. And it's just, again, if people take the time to truly understand it, it's a fascinating thing. And there is scientific evidence to show that it works. And I think what, to begin with, what the problem was is that it was a new concept, and everyone's like, wow, my goalie's track. That's something else. We don't need to do that. My goalies are doing this. It's like, my goalie looks at the puck. It's like, they look at the puck. Do they access the puck though? Or like, just turning your head isn't tracking. It's like, oh, look, he turns his head before he moves. Well, that's not tracking. If it's because where's he looking? And so it's this whole other concept and I think people just got kind of up in arms and scared about it. Well, everybody tracks. Well, guess what? All the NHL goalies, the really high end ones, they do head track when they're on. And a lot of times when they're off, they're not. And the difference is understanding when it's on and when it's off, and then being able to use that so that when you start to get off of it, you get back on, and maybe you catch bad games before they happen, or if they start, because a lot of times bad games, you'll get a few wins, you'll kind of get away with it, but your game starts to go in the wrong direction. You can get it before it happens. Or if you have one bad game, 2 bad games, it ends there because you understand what it is that's going wrong with accessing the puck and how you're moving around the crease. So you stop it at 2 before it gets to 3, 4, and 5. And that to me was a huge part of my career in working with Lyle, was getting to be able to stop those slips and the trends. And I wasn't the best at getting back to him. So he used to give me crap all the time because he could see it coming, and he would call me and I'd be like, dude, I won 6 in a row. Like, get off my back. I don't want to, I'm good. But he could see it developing in these last few games where it was going in the wrong direction. And then surprise, surprise, bad game. And then we get back on it. And it was 2, maybe 3 games in a row, but it was never 5, 6, 7. And that was what allowed me to play 65 plus games and be consistent on a playoff team all the time.
It was my fault.
It was your fault.
It was my fault. It was the article. It was Valiket's quote, it being the biggest thing since the butterfly. That was the overreaction.
Well, Valley, so shout out to Steve Valiquette. He's the first one that actually introduced me to the concept before I ever talked to Lyle. And Valley's a good friend of mine. He's fantastic and huge hockey brain. But he was the first one before I went to Arizona. That summer, I went to a camp in Vail. With Andy O'Brien, Sidney Crosby's trainer, and an awesome camp, super high-end guys. And I rode from the airport to Vail with Valley. And he was just discovering this, and he was super excited about it. So I talked to him for 2 straight hours about this, and he's kind of explaining it to me, but he doesn't really truly understand what it is. But he's kind of getting it, and he's showing it to me. And I was kind of looking at him like, well, this sounds crazy. Like, this is not how I played before. I was pretty up and back, and we did it for 5 days in a row. And I took what I could grab from Valley, which was, just kind of basic concept of it. And that was the year that I took off. And again, I'm not going to tell you that that's the reason why, because I had such a small understanding of it, but I can certainly tell you it was a part of it.
Yeah, and I just told the world and maybe used some big lines from Valley about biggest thing since the butterfly, and everybody kicked us both in the nuts for the next year.
And I had to do, it was middle of Minnesota, I had to do like an NHL.com or it was a radio interview or something about this head tracking thing. And I think it was because your article came out.
My fault.
And Lyle was in the article. And I started asked about Lyle. I didn't even know Lyle. I'd never met him before. I'd never talked to him. Didn't know what he looked like. And they're like, yeah, this Lyle guy. And so now they're asking me to speak on this. And I barely have a grasp in my head what I'm even doing. Like I can feel it when I'm out there, sort of, but to
which is what you had discussed with me for the article. Like it was, yeah.
Yes, but if to articulate it to someone, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm trying to tell you. I just know I grabbed a few things from Valley and this is what I'm doing. But it was such an uncomfortable, trying to, and I was front and center because this is right in the middle of like when things were really, really blowing up, and everyone's thinking, oh, he's got like the key to success in his head. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
It was my fault. Like I said, see, my fault. Hey, last one, because this is so much of what you talked about, and I didn't realize you and Freddie spent a lot of time watching other goalies and trying other things. You got a young son. I know you loved watching hockey, Doobie. Like you watched other goalies, other teams all the time. Is this gonna be part of the lessons? Like we hear it from a lot of guys. We had Dan Stewart from the Blues on last week. Like, just don't think kids watch enough hockey. Too much short clips.
No, 100%. Watch, and this is the video editing stuff. They're doing such a good job now, and Huddle Cam's really cool. That's why I wanted to work with them and they're Midwest guys out here. But like, it's so much more accessible now with the technologies they have and what they can do, where they're clipping it so that kids can watch this stuff and they don't lose interest. They're not getting bored. It's not like go review this game that there's no markers in. And, if you're forward, it's like, you don't know when your shifts are. So like, have fun scrolling through this game and trying to like find when you're on the ice, and good luck if the camera even followed you, like all these things. And they'll watch it for 5 minutes and it's an hour-long video. It's like, no thanks. But if you get these clips, and a kid can probably watch his entire game in 10 minutes, and it's just, they're just watching their stuff, because things, we see things and we think we know what happened. And then you see what you are actually doing in there, not what it felt like you were doing, but also what's happening in front of you. Because there's so many times that you think you think you saw what you thought you saw, and then you watch video and you're like, oh, that's not actually what I saw. And then that's also how you grow your reads in the game as well, is understanding, looking at, like seeing how things were moving around you, what you thought you saw as opposed to what was actually happening. And then you start to feel more about that, what's happening around you. The more you watch, the more you know what's happening around you. And then also like sit down with mom and dad and watch NHL games. They're wildly entertaining. The goalies are as good as they ever have been. And like, I just watch goalies. Like when they're moving the puck around the zone, I'll just stare at the goalie, because I'm very interested in how they move around the crease and where they are in the crease and all these goalie nerd things. But you got a young goalie, just sit down and watch the games with them. Tell them to watch the goalie all the time, not just when he gets shots, just watch him all the time. And they'll learn all of these different things and these subtleties and all that. So it's, again, you got to, this program, I'm so excited for it, but it's like, and this is for any sport, for any kid, like you have to be invested in it and want to do it because you love it. Nobody can make you do something. I don't like, you can't, parents can't pay for a kid to get all of this stuff. If the kid doesn't want to do it, you have to love it. And I had that growing up. Nobody ever had to tell me to go play hockey. Nobody ever had to tell me to watch highlights, Rock'em Sock'em videos, and watch Curtis Joseph and really pay attention to what he's doing. Like it was what I wanted to do. It's what I loved. And you need that if this is what you want to do. And if you don't have that, that's okay too. But it can't be forced. It has to be love. And then we have to put kids in environments and situations where they love hockey, and not put them in situations where hockey becomes a job at youth and it's not something they look forward to, whether that's too much time on the ice, too much coaching, whatever it is. Put them in an environment that they can love this great game.
All said. We'll have it in the show notes below for people to click on, but quick shout out for the website address where people can find out more information.
Yes, it's going to be dubnykdevelopment.com. It is going live. It will be live whenever this comes out. It's pretty much just finished up like yesterday. So I'm super excited about it. It was this has all been such a process, as you have this vision of what you want to do, and then all of a sudden you start piecing it together, and there's a whole lot more to it. But I've been working hard at this for months now, putting everything together, and I'm super excited for now. I mean, it's going to go out there, and again, I'm excited to see where the applications come from, and excited that I can work with anybody, because I grew up in Calgary. I lived in Vancouver. I played in Edmonton. I grew up in Canada. I'm in Minnesota now, but I want to have opportunities to work with anybody from anywhere in North America that wants what I'm talking about and providing here.
Well, I would sign up myself, Doobie, but the video reviews, I have a rule. I know it doesn't look like how it actually looks like in my mind, and I never want to see what it actually looks like. So I'll let the young kids who actually have something to gain learn from this one, buddy, and avoid having to watch myself.
Sounds good.
All right, Devan, thanks for the time, man. This has been great. Really enjoyed it. Folks, check it out, Devan, or just DubnykDevelopment.com. We'll have it in the show notes. The beauty for him is he always had that Devan Dubnyk logo when he was playing. It was on the chin of a lot of his masks. It transfers right over to Dubnyk Development. It's awesome.
Yes, works perfectly.
I like it when Woody admits going into it, I learned a lot here. Because it's hard to teach Woody. Woody's brain is full.
Well, Woody's brain has a limited capacity. That's why it's full. Not because he knows a lot.
No,
I'm like one of those when you buy the base level MacBooks with 128 gigs of memory.
Yeah.
You gotta plug in a whole bunch of hard drives to make
sell
it
yourself
work.
short on that. I think you're incredibly educated on this position, and if you're talking about expanding your knowledge, then it's really worth it. And I hope everybody enjoyed that and go back and revisit it from time to time.
Aw, that was nice.
Hutch. He's the most talkative early. He's like a dog with the zoomies, and then he settles down.
Probably not a bad description, actually. He just lies in the corner and sleeps for 14 hours.
He's verklempt because you said nice things. I'm going to add verklempt to the splayed.
I just wrote it down. Splayed, verklempt. It's part of our goalie dictionary.
Yeah. I shared the document with you guys, but nobody's added anything to it, I don't think.
Well, splayed and I got a couple of things. I'll send them to you. All right. I got 3 or 4 good ones that need to be included in it. Skate safe.
Doobie talked about he grew up with skate saves. He's seen it all, man. Started with skate saves.
Have you done that stretch any time in the last few years, like where you sit and you turn the skate out? It's hard. It used to be second nature, and it's hard to do.
I've never done it, and I'm pretty sure that I would need another surgery on my knee if I tried.
And watching Bernie Perrant from back in the day make skate saves, like how did he do that?
I have no idea. It never worked for me. I could do that stretch with style, precision, technique. Get a puck involved and forget it.
No chance.
Forget it.
No chance. We've got a Stanley Cup Final, so that's going to be fun to watch Stuart Skinner and Sergei Bobrovsky start it out, and who knows where it takes us throughout the Stanley Cup Championship Series. Back-to-back for Florida or a split, and a Canadian team winning for the first time since the Montreal Canadiens back in 1993. We got some drama. Thanks, boys.
That was fun.
Thank you.
It doesn't sound like Hutch is really into it.
I'm so into it. I'm so into it. You're going to turn this off, and I'm going to spend the next 4 hours editing this thing.
Well done. Well played. We'll talk to you next week on InGoal Radio, the podcast presented by The Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Tenny Fest is coming up.